everyone, how are you? This is Chris Steffens, and we're just going to give everybody a few minutes to come in. So when you come in, let me know you're here. We'll get started in just a minute. Hi, Kai, how are you doing? Hi, Lisa. Giving everybody just another minute or two to come on in. Excuse my mess of my desk here. Can you guys hear me okay? Cool. I did some new stuff here. I've got lights all over the place, so hopefully everything's lit up great and you guys can see. Nice thing about all these lights is my area right here is really nice and warm. It's really nice and warm. I've got a cat in here underneath my legs, meowing nice and warm like crazy. Oh, come on, silly phone. I've got a cat in here underneath my legs, meowing nice and warm like crazy. It's really nice and warm. I'm trying to pull it up on my phone so that I can at least see comments. Like crazy. And my phone is being silly. My silly phone. I've got a cat in here underneath my legs. Okay, well, this may not work. It's really nice. Okay, well, this may not work. All right, I give up. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I was trying to bring things up on my phone so I could have the phone where I can see questions better. So as you guys saw, the reason for the live is we're going to be talking about the new game changer in the market. It's called an epoxy dryer. You know, and what I'm going to say right off the bat, this isn't for everybody. This machine is like epoxies. It will work for some and not for others, okay? What I do ask is that you keep an open mind. I've seen a lot of things in the groups, different groups, about these machines, and there's a lot of Debbie Doubters out there. So what I ask is that you keep an open mind and do your own research, just like what we do with our epoxies. You know, we have to do our own research and see what works for us and what doesn't, you know, work. Because what will work for me may not work for you. And again, that will be also based on your climate. But let's jump right in and take a look at this machine. I will tell you that I love it. So this is a Wonnv epoxy dryer. I'm going to stand up and come over here. And if I have to, if you guys need me to, I can bring it in closer. Well, let's get some stuff out of the way and try not to knock over lights and cameras and everything else. Now, I will tell you that it's not a bad price either. You know, 170 bucks for this, and it literally will dry your cups in 60 minutes to about 120 minutes, although mine's been going at about 70. So let's start with, first of all, I'm going to tip this up, and we're going to take a look at the dial. I might have to bring the camera up more. Just a minute. Oh, look at that. And my fun little hair thingy here. So this is actually the dial on the machine. Now, the nice thing about this machine is you can set your own temperature, which is here. They actually recommend that you use the 167 Fahrenheit or the 75 Celsius, okay, which is right here. Now, again, you're going to have to learn on this machine what works for you and what doesn't. Are we still getting echoing? I hope not. I'm hoping I stopped the echoing. Okay, so again, this is the temperature dial, and it goes all the way from 35 Celsius or 95 Fahrenheit to 185 Fahrenheit and then 85 Celsius. So they have it both on there because some like to do Celsius, some don't. I'm a Fahrenheit gal myself. So I usually keep mine right here. Now, the other thing here is it has a timer. I don't know that I need to explain that. And then you have this little piece here. Well, not so little. So you have on, off, and timer. So the thing with this is if you want to just use the machine and not use the timer, you can just use it and time it yourself by pointing it up. If you want to put your machine on the timer, you just push it all the way down for the timer. Okay? Now, when the timer goes off, your machine is still going to keep turning, but the machine will shut off. And we'll go over how that's used in just a minute. So that explains your dials. And this looks, I mean, it's a big piece, but it's really not heavy. So I want to show you, I'm going to give you a close-up here of the inside so that you can kind of see there's a fan in there. And that fan, I think, is what's throwing people off. That and the heat. And we'll go over that. So one of the things that we know is that epoxies can have issues if they are, you know, if they're overheated and things like that. It does change the epoxy. We know that. But that also doesn't stop us from doing things like using a torch, which we are heating up the cup, which is heating up the epoxy. But we don't heat it to a point that it's going to affect the epoxy. Well, at least we shouldn't be. If your epoxy starts smoking, you have an issue. You've gone too long. But anyways, that's a whole nother thing here. This machine, one of the things I like about it, one of the things, yes, let me look at these really quick. Yes, Lisa, they're 170 on Amazon. Kathy is supposed to be putting in the link. If she doesn't, I will. And Leah, what do you mean in a draft? Okay, so one of the nice things about this machine is we all know that epoxy is temperamental. So depending on our environment is going to be depending on how our epoxy is going to dry and cure. In my room here, my temperatures in here vary a lot. So like even during the summer, oh, I didn't bring it over. I have a cup I did that had ridges on it when it was done. I left it that way because that one happened to be a beach cup, so it worked. What I found was that I turned on my ceiling fan, and that caused that was what had caused the ripples. Because my temperature varies in here, It can be hot in here, and I'm in a dry climate. I'm in Nevada, so it's a really dry climate here. So I don't have to worry about humidity and stuff, and I really feel for those of you who have to. But during the summer, my room can get really, really hot. That's going to affect my epoxy. So that's when I tried to use my fan to kind of, you know, change the temperature in here a little bit, but I got the ripples. If I use my air conditioner, which is in my hallway, to get some cool air in here, that's going to affect what's going to happen with my epoxy too. So that's kind of the downfall here that I have. So the nice thing about this machine is that you can now regulate your temperature. So when your cup is in here, it's going to maintain, like in my case, using the 167 Fahrenheit, it's going to maintain 167 degrees in here as long as I have this machine on. Okay, and I use the timer on this, so when it's done, it's done. So that's a great benefit. I will tell you, I've seen things like people saying, yeah, Leah, epoxy does not like air movement at all. And we're going to talk about that because I know one of the other things is it has a fan in there. Oh no, it's going to ruin the epoxy. We'll go over that. So regulating the temperature is one thing. And if we could all regulate a temperature in our rooms and our spaces that we're using epoxy, that would be phenomenal. But that's not reality. So we can't. With this, you can. And again, I'm going to keep saying it over and over, is that when you get one of these, you'll have to find what temperature works best for you in your climate. The company has one recommendation, but that doesn't mean that that is going to be what works best for you. I tell everybody your cups will be dry to touch by using this machine in 60 to 120 minutes. I have never had to keep a cup in here more than 70 minutes, and that's a cup like this. Okay, and don't go by, this one did not go in this machine. I'll explain that one to you. That did not go in this machine. But my other one, right down here, this one did go in that machine. Okay, and it was dry to touch in 70 minutes. Now, dry to touch means that it's dry enough for you to be able to touch it and do whatever you need to do to go on to your next layer. So for an example, right now we do our first layer and we have to wait safely. I wait 24 hours to touch it again, but 12 to 24 hours, okay? And then you do your next layer. That's another 12 to 24 hours that your cup has to sit. So now we're talking 2 days. Now, if you do anything else and you're putting on a third layer, and I will tell you, I try to stay, I always do 2 to 3 layers depending on what I'm doing. So if I'm doing a third layer, that includes, you know, the rest of my decals or whatever else, I'm now looking at 3 days of a cup to finish a cup. Then you need the minimum of 3 days, preferably 5, for it to cure. This does not cure your cup. It is only a machine designed to dry your epoxy within 60 minutes to 120 minutes, dry to touch. Meaning you take your cup out, you let it cool down for just a few minutes, not that it's hot, but it's warm, and you can touch it. And, you know, all of us love when our cups are turning and we just have to touch it. Why is that? I do it too, and I know a lot of us do it. It's like, why do we have to touch our cups? We know darn well they're still wet, but no, we have to touch them. It's crazy. So the other thing I will tell you is that when I'm doing my cups, I will have it on the turner, do my epoxy. I still let the cup turn. I still use my torch to make sure I get the bubbles. And I usually do that for about 20 minutes before I even put it in the machine, okay? Because I want to make sure I get all the bubbles off. I guess I'm going to have to test this to see if, because of the way the machine is, if it would pop bubbles. I just haven't tested it that way yet. Now, the airflow on this is the piece that I've seen a lot of people going, oh my God, you're blowing air on it. It's going to give you ridges, fisheyes, dents, dimples, everything else. If you're using a fan, a regular fan, yeah, it is. But I'm going to turn this machine on and see if we can find some things so I can show you. I mean, it's blowing warm air, but the airflow that it has, and again, that airflow is being regulated by just going around in here. It's not enough to do anything to your cups. So let me see if we can find, and I should have brought a leaf in here, but I know I have some feathers. So first of all, let's turn this machine on, and I'm not going to use the dryer feature on it, or the timer feature. I'm just going to turn it on. When you go to start to use this machine, you do need to set it up and let it go for about 5 to 10 minutes to heat up before you put your cup in there. And that's just a suggestion of the manufacturer. So where, like Leah said, that epoxy doesn't like airflow, and she is completely true. I mean, that's very true. But it also depends on the type of airflow. I'm trying to get a feather out and see if this will work. So, first of all, can you guys hear how quiet it is? Do you guys hear it? Because it's really, really quiet. So let's see. Okay, can you guys see the feather moving at all? The little pieces on it. You can kind of see where it's just the little pieces of the feather are moving just a little bit. I mean, it's really hardly anything. And this is a feather. You can see if this was a huge amount of airflow, you know, this thing would blow it out. But I could put it in here, and all you're going to see is a little bit of that feather moving. Let's see if I can get you down in here more. Is that a little better? So you might be able to see the feather, you know, a little bit of the fluff on the feather moving, but not much. If this machine had a lot of airflow, it would blow that out. And then, yes, that's going to affect your epoxy. That's just the way it is. So you've got a fan that's going to keep your airflow regulated. It also heats to whatever temperature that you're using, and that is kept regulated. That is what is causing your cups to dry within 60 minutes to 120. Okay, so that's pretty cool. It's nice and warm too. All right, so is there any questions on that so far? Does that explain a lot about that part of the machine? I'm giving you guys just a second. I know that we have some time lapse on the video to when people see it. So, but if you have questions, please put them in. I'll be happy to answer them. And even after this, remember, if the live button, the little red live button isn't on, then we're no longer live. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to answer your questions, because I will. And I think it's really important that we look at this machine. And again, I'm not affiliated with the company. I get nothing for this, but when I see new things, I want to try them. And for me, this is a huge game changer. I mean, feasibly, you can finish 3 layers on a cup in one day. Your cup can be done in one day. And then you have your 3 to 5 days of curing time. And I don't know if Kai is on here still, but I think if Kai's still on here, Kai, isn't it minimum of, I mean, I go with a minimum of 5 days to cure. I think it's 3 to 5, but I always stick with the 5 days because that's just me. I don't want something going out to the customer. Oh yeah, well, while we're doing this, I want to discuss something else I've seen come up in some questions. One of the things I saw is that using a machine like this will cause your epoxy to yellow and chip. That's not true. Epoxy is going to yellow, plain and simple, over time. We all know that. This is not going to cause the epoxy to yellow any sooner. It is not drying it or causing enough heat or anything to even cause a cup to chip quicker. That's not what's happening. If a cup is dried way too fast in other circumstances, yeah. And I'll tell you, I know of people in our industry, it's kind of amazing to me, who use their ovens. Using your oven to dry a cup, first of all, is not safe. And secondly, it's a different type of heat. Using the heat from an oven is going to cause your cups to dry quicker, and it is going to cause problems with your epoxy. This is different. It's not an oven. Now, the other thing I know of is that I know some people have converted dehydrators for drying their cups too. What do we know about a dehydrator? A dehydrator blows air. A dehydrator blows warm air, and it is based by temperature as well. Now, the people I know that have built a machine using a dehydrator, they've been using it for years too. Not a problem. Never had an issue, because it's a different type of heat and a different way it's being done, and it's not a huge amount of air being blown onto the cup. Okay, I'm still not seeing questions. Oh wait, let me scroll down. Give me just a minute, guys. I'm going to scroll down here and see if I'm missing any questions. Okay, so Ashley, to dry 1 cup, and this, by the way, will take up to 2 cups, and I'll show you that. To dry 1 cup is 60 minutes to 120 minutes. Mine at 167 degrees takes, I give it 70 minutes. And that will change based on your climate and where you are. Yes, you still have to be able to put the turner inside the box. So I have one turner that my husband built me using a reindeer motor, and it was my second turner. I'll show you my first turner, and it's the turner I absolutely love. And the reason I love it is because it has the way he built it, it has a huge amount of space between the base and where my cup is. But because of that, it's not going to fit in here unless I put something under here to bring this up so I can get my cup in. But your cup will go in to about 2 inches, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. Yes, Kathy, I will show you. Actually, I have a sample of a cup I did and a cup I didn't do. If the door, I'll show you the door here in just a second, Leah. Okay, so Kai says that the dry time is 72 hours to cure to 98%. I'm sorry, 98%. 72 hours. And that's to cure, guys. That's not dry to touch. That is to cure. That's how long you should be waiting until that cup is being sent out to a customer. For it to be 100% cured, Kai says it's 28 days. Thank you, Kai. This is, Leah, this is just the design of it. Okay, there isn't another design. This is the only one. Now, I will tell you that I have also seen in groups where people are saying that this machine is sold on Wish and a couple other places, and I'm not I'm not going to downplay Wish or AliExpress because I use those too. But there's some things I'm just cautious about buying. I bought this here because I knew if I had issues, I can send it back and I don't have to wait to get it, you know, to get it back to them. These are available on Amazon. And again, Kathy's supposed to put in the link, so if she hasn't, we'll make sure it gets in there. I want to say it's 100 and actually it might even be 160. And if you have Amazon Prime, it will ship to your door within a couple of days. Awesome deal. Just saying. Sort of, Karen. Karen's saying, is it just a box around the turners to avoid temperature variance in drafts? Kind of. It's a box that will help with that, but it also has the fan and the heater. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys now. Now, you can use this with 1 or 2 cups and turners. And I will tell you that when you are using this, keep everything away from this machine. Okay, the top does get warm. Excuse me. The top does in fact get warm. So I'll show you real quick what, first of all, the door looks like. So this is the door. This is just an acrylic piece, and it has the slots here for your turners, and this is just to help with some of the airflow. And it just slides right in like that. But I'm going to show you how turners go in. But let me first show you, I was asked about cups. So this turner is made by the same company. And this was the first turner I bought. It's the Wonnv turner. Great machine. I like it. I don't like that it doesn't go in reverse, and I like my machines to go in reverse. But I've done things on some of mine to convert them for things, and I'll show you that. So I'm pulling this one off because I want you to see this cup. So one of the things I did is I wanted to test some things. So these 2 cups I did on the same day. Okay. This one I did in the machine. This one I did not. I just did it on my turner. Now, I sanded this one only because I wanted it to show up more all the nice little fish eyes I got on it. And I'll get you close on there. So, I don't know. Can you guys see all those? Yeah, and it's all around the cup. And whoops. And this, again, was based on, this was just done on the turner, going round and round and round, totally. And I get this a lot. No matter how much I use my torch, and I will actually use my torch right after. Then I come back about every 10 minutes for the first 30 minutes just to make sure I've gotten all of the bubbles. But then I get this a lot more because I can't control the temperature in my room. I'll set this one right here out of the way. And then this one I did in the machine, and it was done in 70 minutes. So, and it is, I mean, I have no fish eyes on it at all. Absolutely none. I was totally amazed on it. This cup is actually ready for its next coat of epoxy. So, I mean, I'm trying to show you guys at different angles that there's nothing. No ridges, ripples. I have no fish eyes, bubbles, dents, whatever you want to call them. I have nothing. It's flawless. Except for right there where a piece of glitter sticking up. Apparently, I hate chunky glitter. So you can see how that was done. Now for putting these cups in, and I'm going to turn this off because I really don't need to do these cups. I have 2 turners here, so I can show you. This is a turner by Truly Divinal. I'm not selling those either, but I love that turner. And this was the very first turner I bought. This is the Wonnv, which is the same company who makes this dryer. I love this machine. I use this machine, but it's got some limitations to it. And I know that they're working on making this more usable. The only downfall I have to this one is really that it doesn't go backwards. And I like my cups to turn both ways. So I have I have like 6 turners, but 2 of them don't do that. My husband was trying to give me sign language, and I don't read sign language. So let's put this one back on. And I like this one because I had them convert it to Truly Divinal is really good about if there's any specific sizes you want, they can do it. I like using 3/4 inch PVC on mine. So they were able to do that one for this. And I like this little light too. It's really cool. But we're not here to look at that. So, okay, here's this one. Now you can see I have 2 different cup sizes here. Let me get this one on. Okay, so we're just going to pretend I've already epoxied these cups. They've been turning for 30 minutes just because that's my preference. All right. The machine comes with these little foam pads. These are your base. So all you're going to do is get your machine in, and you know what? I don't have these machines plugged in, but they would be turning. Okay, the machines need to be turning. So we need to make sure that the cup is in at least 2 inches. Put the base on there. And I could at least plug one in, I guess. Let's put this one over here. And we'll pretend that one's turning. Okay, we'll just pretend. So, and then I'm going to take my door. Now, mind you, my machine has been heated up and it's going. I promise I'm going to put my door on. Okay, now see, as I come down, I'm going to have to adjust a little bit. And this is where I might have a problem with using these 2 turners together. So I actually want it to be a little bit looser. So I would shave, I'm going to have to shave a little bit of wood off of this particular turner, which is no biggie. It's no biggie at all. Okay, so your machine, both your turners are in here. You can see how they're going. They're about 2 inches inside. You can see they're clearly apart from each other. There's plenty of room there. And then your machine would be going. So I would set it to the temperature, turn my timer on, and let it go. Then when it's done, it's going to do exactly what it's doing right now. The machine would shut off, but your turners would still be turning. And you have to make sure your turners are turning the whole time. Otherwise, you're going to get the problem where it's going to be flat on one side. So does that help with understanding of how that works? Oh, okay, Leah, I got it. I'm using this one right here is a 3/4 inch pipe, or PVC. And what I will tell you on this one, I think I will probably just drill a little bit more out. But you know, most people are using 1/2 inch PVC or less. I just use, it's for my preference, I want 3/4 inch. Even my drying rack and everything is 3/4 inch. I've designed everything so I can pull these right off and screw it right onto my drying rack. So I wanted them all the same, and 3/4 inch for me makes it, for me it's just sturdier. So that's where I've done what I've done. But like this one from Wonnv, I think these are like 5/8. and maybe 5/8. No, not sure. But it's clearly moving in here without touching the sides of the door. So like I said, on this one here, I will have to just sand this down just a little bit, just so it fits my 3/4 inch piping really well. The humidity control, that's, you know, I have to tell you that I'm not really sure. What the company has said is that yes, that it does do it, but for me to give you a best educated answer, I mean, if we think about humidity, you know, the machine is keeping the air moving and it's a heated air, so it may not, you know, but again, it's something that you would also play with to see what temperature and how long it would take for your cups to dry as well. Let me look and see what it says, but I know in everything I've looked at, they've said that it's it will help control the humidity. Yeah, see, I don't want to say yes and I don't want to say no. If anybody has used this machine in a place that's humid, then, you know, I'd love to hear from you. What I do know of somebody who is using a dehydrator, and this works the same as a dehydrator. I mean, you know, I could probably put some fruit in there and dry it. But a dehydrator removes the moisture. And so that helps control humidity, and that's why this particular person uses it. So knowing what the dehydrator does, and that's basic of what this machine does, then I guess it would control humidity. Because it is keeping the area where the cup is in there, it is keeping it, the temperature regulated at the same the whole time. So that would be interesting to know for sure, but I mean, the short answer is, you know, I don't want to say yes and I don't want to say no, but I would lean more towards, I think it would help control with the humidity while the cup is in here drying. Does anybody have any other questions? I'm here to answer them. And, you know, I wanted to do this live not only to show you guys this machine, because, I mean, this really is a huge game changer. But we're not selling it. But like everything, when something new comes out, we want to try it. And we want to get it out to you guys and say, hey, look at this machine. It's cool, or yay or nay. And this machine is really, really cool. I like the fact that now for making tumblers, we can actually do 3 layers on a tumbler in a day. 1 day. Okay, so you've reduced 3 days down to 1, and then you wait your 72 hours for your cup to fully cure and ship it out to your customer. How amazing is that? I mean, how many days are we having to wait now, you